Welcome to Campfire Stories.
Pull in close, friends, and I'll take you back to the summer of 1896, to a little salmon stream in the Yukon that the miners called Rabbit Creek. Because on an August afternoon on that nothing little creek, 3 men bent over the water and changed the lives of 100,000 people who had not yet even heard the word Klondike. This is where all of it began.
1896, Marty, the very start of it. Who were the 3 men?
The first was a fellow named George Carmack, an American, a drifter and a dreamer who had gone north years before and, unusual for his time, had thrown in his lot entirely with the Tagish people. He had married a Tagish woman named Kate. And the other 2 were her people. Her brother, a big, powerful, good-natured man the miners called Skookum Jim, Skookum being the Chinook word for strong, and he was well named. And their nephew, Tagish Charlie. 3 men fishing for salmon and thinking in the back of their minds about gold.
So it was really Kate's family, her brother and her nephew, out there with her husband. Marty, I feel like history is going to give the credit to the wrong man. I can hear it coming.
You have a good ear, Carol, and we will get there. Now, there was another man in this, a Nova Scotian prospector named Robert Henderson, who had been working a nearby creek and had earlier told Carmack there was color in that country. But Henderson Carroll made a bad mistake. When he said it, he made it plain he did not want any, quote, Siwash, his ugly word for Indians, staking near him. He insulted Skookum Jim and Tagish Charlie to their faces. And that insult, that one piece of meanness, is going to cost Robert Henderson everything.
Oh, Marty. He looked at those 2 men and saw beneath him, and it is going to bankrupt his whole life. Good. What happened at the creek?
On the 16th of August, they were camped on Rabbit Creek. And the accounts differ, Carol, on who bent down first, and that difference is the heart of this story. Skookum Jim always said it was him, that he went to the water for a drink or to wash a dish, and saw gold lying thick in the bedrock, between the slabs of rock like cheese in a sandwich, more raw gold than any of them had seen in their lives. Carmack said it was him. But most who were there, and most since, believe it was Skookum Jim who actually found the Klondike.
Of course it was. And let me guess why the history books say Carmack. Because in 1896, a claim staked by an Indian might not be honored by the government at all.
That is exactly the why of it, Carol, and it is the hard, clear-eyed truth at the center of this golden story. They talked it over, the 4 of them, Kate too, and they made a cold, practical decision. George Carmack, the white man, would be recorded as the discoverer and would stake the discovery claim, because a white man's claim would be respected and an Indian's might be laughed out of the recorder's office. So the man who very likely did not find the gold got his name in every book, and the man who did got written into the margins. And they staked their claims on the 17th of August, 1896, on the creek they would rename Bonanza.
Bonanza Creek. Oh, that gives me a chill. And Skookum Jim, did he at least get rich, even if he did not get the credit?
He did get rich, Carol, and here is a lovely thing about the man. Skookum Jim took his fortune and, unlike so many who blew it on whiskey and folly, he used it to look after his family and his people for the rest of his life, and he left the bulk of it, in the end, to benefit the Yukon First Nations, a fund that does good to this very day. The strong man was a good man. But the credit, the fame, the discoverer's laurel that went to Carmack, and it sits uneasy to this day.
I'm so glad Jim did good with it. But Marty, what about poor mean Robert Henderson over the hill, who did not want any Indians near him? Did anyone tell him what they had found?
And here, Carol, is the cruelest turn of the whole tale, and there is a rough justice in it. There was an unwritten law among miners, the code of the creeks. If you make a strike, you send word to your neighbors so they can share in it. Henderson had, in his way, tipped Carmack off. so by the code, Carmack owed him word of the Bonanza strike. Henderson was just over the ridge on a creek called Gold Bottom, close enough to walk to. And Carmack, remembering how Henderson had spoken to his wife's brother and nephew, did not send word. He let Robert Henderson sit there.
Oh, Marty? So by the time Henderson found out, the whole of Bonanza and every creek around it was staked solid by strangers pouring in.
Every inch of it, Carol. By the time Robert Henderson heard, the richest ground in the history of the world had been claimed by other men, and there was nothing left for him but the bitter mountain air. He had been at the very door of the greatest gold strike ever made. He had helped point the way to it, and he walked away with next to nothing, and he blamed his bad luck to his dying day. But it was not only bad luck, Carol. It was the insult. He had shown contempt to two men, and those two men and the people they loved simply declined to save him. The Klondike began with a lesson older than gold. Be careful how you speak to the people beneath you. They may be standing over the richest ground on earth.
Marty, that is a story and a sermon both. The men everyone looked down on found the gold, and the man who looked down on them lost everything, and it turned entirely on how they were treated. I will never forget it.
Neither did the Yukon, Carol. Word of Bonanza reached the outside world the next summer, when the steamers came down to Seattle and San Francisco heavy with gold, and 100,000 souls dropped their lives and turned north. And every hard and wondrous story we will tell this season came out of that one August afternoon on a salmon creek, when three men everyone had underestimated looked down into the water and saw it shining. That is where it starts. I'm Marty Shepherd.
And I'm Carol, and tonight I'm thinking of Skookum Jim, the strong man with the kind heart, whose name belongs at the front of the book. Hold your people close, be gentle with the folks the world overlooks, and come back to the fire because the Klondike is only getting started.